This is a black-green life gain deck, which is a bit different than your usual ones, because you normally see it as white-black or even white-green. But we decided to go with black-green because someone gave me the challenge of coming up with a use for the card Blood Researcher. Blood Researcher is a 1 black, 1 green, 1 of any color, 2/2 menace creature that whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on the Blood Researcher. So you can always think of it as an Johnny's Pride Mate that costs 1 more, but has menace. So it's actually not a bad card in the slightest. To go with the black-green life gain idea here, we are running the Nighthawk Scavenger, flying Death Touch lifelink creature. Power gets an additional plus to it for each card type among card types in your opponent's graveyard. Also, go with the deck idea, we're running a couple Soar and the Mirthless, where it serves as a way to give us some draw functionality in the sense of we can look at top card, may reveal it, lose life equal to its mana cost, but add it to hand. -2 to create 2/3 black vampire creature tokens with flying and lifelink, and a -7 to deal 13 damage to any target, and you gain 13 life. Now granted, I don't think we'll ever get to the -7, but that actually can serve as a potential finisher. We are also running Henrika Domnathi, 4 mana, 1/3 flyer, that at the beginning of each combat you can choose to use one of the abilities that you haven't done yet. First one is to make it so each player sacrifices a creature. You also may choose to draw a card, lose a life, or you can transform Henrika into a flying Death Touch lifelink that you can spend 3 mana, so that way each creature you control with flying Death Touch or lifelink will get +1/+0 until the turn. Other cards to take advantage of all the life we're gaining, we're running copies of the Marauding Blight Priest. It does have whenever you gain life, each opponent loses a life. And ways to help us gain life, we are not only using all our life linkers, but we're running the Prosperous Innkeeper, that whenever a creature enters the battlefield, we gain life. And we're also running Meathook Massacre, so that whenever our opponent's creatures die, we gain life. Now also Meathook Massacre, as you know, whenever our creatures die, they also lose life. We are also running Hunt for Specimens, so that way we can create the little pest tokens that when they die, we gain life. But we also get the Learn mechanic. So over here in the Learn mechanic, we have Environmental Sciences, Necrotic Fumes, Containment Breach, a couple copies of Pest Summonings, and a couple copies of Mascot Exhibition. Those all just serve as decent ways for us to take advantage of the Learn lesson, to get us more bodies on board that either give us life when they die, or just bodies in general, or have, disruption or the ability to fetch mana as needed. We do run Deadly Dispute because it's a solid draw spell. It allows us to sacrifice creatures for value in response to removal. Big card in the deck, even though it's legendary, we're running 4 copies of, is Valentine, Dean of the Vein. Not only because it is a solid 1-drop with Menace and Lifelink, that makes it that way if an opponent's creatures would die, they go into exile instead, shutting off all of our opponent's death triggers for them, but also giving us the ability to have, when the creature is exiled, we may spend 2 mana to create a 1/1 black pest creature token. The other reason we're running this is because Lisette, Dean of the Root, is a powerhouse in a life gain deck. So for double green and 2 of any color, you get a 4/4 that whenever you gain life, you may pay 1. If you do, you're going to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and those creatures gain trample until end of turn. What this means is, if you have a Prosperous Innkeeper in play, and you play Lisette, Dean of the Root, if you have an extra mana left over, you can just immediately activate it to make it so that way all your creatures will have the +1/+1 counter. If you were to have multiple Prosperous Innkeepers on board, and say you just did a Hunt for Specimens to generate a 1/1 token, if we had 2 Prosperous Innkeepers with Lisette on board, that means we can pay 2 mana to just pump the entire board, as well as give them trample until end of turn, meaning we have a potential really strong attack, not only because Lisette will be a 6/6, but even the Innkeepers then would be potential 3/3s, if not bigger because of just past life gain triggers. And not to mention, we have our Blood Researcher here, that if this is on board, along with Lisette, any life gain is just explosive for the Researcher. Alright, with the description of the deck done, we'll go ahead and hop into some games. Alright, on the opening hand, I think this is a definite keep here. We're going to start with the Dean to Hunt Specimens. We can use Hunt Specimens on the to get ourselves the a mana fetch spell. We're still going to go with Valentine, even though we drew Meat Hook Massacre, because we know we're against zombies here. But this will help us prevent the opponent from getting any death triggers. We'll take the hit. We'll play this on the green, even though we're going to show them early that we are 2 colors. We are going to grab Sciences, and we will attack in for the point of damage we can. Alright, another Champion of the Parish for the opponent, as well as a Skull Scab. They're going to sacrifice the Skull Scab to itself. Get themselves even more triggers for these champions. Unfortunately, that does take them really quickly out of the range of our Meat Hook Massacre. Which means we're going to have to probably rely on Henrika here to at least trade against one of those champions. Alright, get ourselves a green source. We'll go land, and we're going to pass. We're going to hold up Valentine as a blocker. Opponent's attacking in for too much damage for us to not hold him back as a blocker. Plus, we didn't have a way to really attack in. Alright. Bring out Henrika, and we immediately transform. If we can avoid the opponent bringing in a creature, we do have the ability to Meat Hook Massacre and kill off the rest of their board, as long as they don't have a counterspell in hand. The opponent, though, with the Faceless Haven means that we're not going to have to worry about a double blue for the potential creature counterspell. But we want to do this right away. Alright, we do actually get the sweep. One thing to make notice, this Faceless Haven will not be in the standard format come Thursday. So this will unfortunately be like a nerf and a buff to this deck, because I believe Faceless Haven can sometimes be a trap because of the need for double blue in the deck for a lot of their spells. Alright, so we'll bring Nighthawk's Scavenger to the board over Lisette. Just because I feel the Death Touch Bonnie might be more useful, might scare them away from attacking with Faceless Haven. Alright, Shambling Gas for the opponent. That is fine. Alright, actually, you know what? I think we'll take the 4. We'll risk this. The reason why we're risking this means that we can play Lisette out, and we can use it to immediately give us the life gain trigger from attacking in. We pay for it. Now our creatures are out of the range of a Meat Hook Massacre for almost all of their creature sizes. But we also now have a 5/5 body, so they can't attack in with the Faceless Haven. The opponent scoops it up. Alright, so we are against zombies. Oh, I forgot to go over the side deck options. We have some Go Blanks against the aggro matches, Parasitic Grasp for werewolves in mono white, Lithoform Blight as a one of, just because the Faceless Haven book combo deck, but with Faceless Haven getting banned, we might just take Lithoform Blight out for a better control option, and Baleful Mastery as a just solid exile spell against planeswalkers or creatures. But as for the game here, I don't think there's any of these that we want to really bring in. I think we're just good to just run it back. Actually, I take it back. We'll bring in 2 Baleful Masteries. We'll go down 1 Hunt for Specimen, 1 Blight Priest. The reason why I want to bring in the 2 Masteries is, with our opponent being on snow, we are looking at a couple possible cards they're running, and we might want an exile answer. Alright, this seems like a good keep. Valentine early again, going to Hunt for Specimens, followed up by a Blood Researcher. Fortunately, the opponent does start off with another early Champion of the Perished. Great thing about Valentine, though, is it does stop them from getting the advantage of death triggers from I'm blanking on the name of the creature. Shambling Ghast. Oh, I did forget to mention Mask of Grizzlebrand in the deck. And I put it in here just to make it so that way Researcher could get its own life gain triggers easier. We're going to go for the pest summonings out of all of these, because we have enough land in hand. Alright, and let's see. Next turn, goal is probably just to play Blood Researcher. Alright, we are going to take the hits this turn. That way we can save the potential death trigger of the token for growing Blood Researcher. Alright, Necroduality is a very powerful card for our opponent. Alright, let's go for Innkeeper. And we're going to roll that into a pest summoning. What this does is it gives us a lot of life gain triggers for our Researcher. Fortunately, we are at a point where it still is just one short from killing something. Let's just hold back. I was thinking about maybe just killing off the pest token in an attack, just to grow Researcher some more. Alright. Bladeside Scab is very dangerous. My opponent's not willing to attack in yet. We'll attempt Mask of Grizzlebrand. Alright, it does succeed. And this will give us a huge hit in the air for life gain swings. Next turn. Because we're 1 mana short from equipping it. It's 3 to play, 3 to equip. Alright. That's actually a great draw for us. Let's go for the equip and attack. See what the opponent does, if anything. Alright, no reactions. I'm going to hold off on playing our creature just in case they had a counterspell. Because I don't want to give them that value. Alright, opponent knows that there's a clock against them, so they're attacking in with everything. We'll double block, kill Archghoul of Thraben. Thanks to Valentine, they will not get a trigger. And we'll take the rest. In fact, we actually get the ability to spend 2 now and create another pest token to replace the one we lost, because we left our mana open. And opponent doesn't get anything back from the Headless Riders. They don't get their draw triggers. And we get this huge creature here. We're going to sacrifice our pest token, see if we can't try to push for lethal with the life gain we're doing. And I think we actually can potentially. Alright. So we actually do have lethal, knowing that that is Test of Talents. Because we can play Nighthawk Scavenger, attack all. Thanks to the Menace here, we have lethal. So the opponent can only block Prosperous Innkeeper or Valentine. They can't block both. And we're swinging 12 in the air, so that's 13 damage. And there we go. Blood Researcher win. Alright, off the opener. We can keep this thanks to Hunt for Specimen. Because Hunt for Specimen allows us to get the green source to play Innkeeper here. Alright, we'll just start off with the tap land, which allows us actually now just start with Innkeeper instead of Specimens. Opponent with the bold 1 land 1 keep. So I imagine that their hand's full of like 1 and 2 drops for them to want to keep that. Probably see a Targnar. So we're looking at maybe a Bard class style deck. Let's bring up the Blood Researcher and pass the turn. Next turn we can go land into the Blight Priest. That way we can start getting the drain that way. Since Scavenger's only going to be a 1/3 flyer at the moment. Opponent's going to attack in with these. I'm going to assume the opponent has the put a +1/+1 counter on it spell. So we'll just take the hit. Um, actually, let's see. If we play this, play Hunt for Specimens. Yeah, I think that's still just the better route to go. Because if they don't have Blizzard Brawl to kill our Blight Priest, they're going to lose a whole lot of life. But also, they're going to lose whatever creature they use the Blizzard Brawl with, because they don't have enough snow sources. Alright. Next for Hunt for Specimens, we're actually just going to grab Pest Summoning since we have enough land. And I think, strangely enough, the Pest Summoning is going to be more dangerous than playing Scavenger. Alright, Punt does finally find their second land source. Funny thing is they're actually using different arts. I know that drives some people that play Arena nuts. Oh, jeez. We have way too much value to use this Meat Hook Massacre. Let's see, if we were to do this for one, we'd only get to kill one of theirs, but we do get to drain them a bit. We'll save that for another turn, but I'm going to go with the Scavenger this turn, and we're not going to attack in. I'm just going to set up for next turn being a turn we swing in. If you're wondering why I'm not attacking with the Researcher, the opponent's shown that they likely have a instant speed trick for 1 mana. And the only instant speed trick that I can think of would be the +1/+1 counter, and we don't want to trade our Life Researcher against them. Okay, so this should be lethal. So we play Pest Summonings, get ourselves a bunch of life gain triggers. Blood Researcher is going to grow huge. And we Meat Hook for 1. And so what I was going to show was Meat Hook for 1. This would cause this to die. We get 2 more life gain triggers, so 2 more counters, 2 more life. This would swing for 10. But even before that, these 3 would die, giving 3 more life gain triggers, 3 more life loss. So they'd actually be down to 5 life from that. Not counting the extra 1, 2, 3, 4 life they lose from Meat Hook Massacre, draining the opponent from our creatures dying. That's just very strong. Now granted, the opponent got greedy, kept a 1-lander, thought it'd work out, got punished. So I can't really say that that's a solid performance from our deck. Let's see, I don't think there's anything we really bring in against them. We'll just run it back. Alright, so we have the Hunt for Specimens, we have the Blood Researchers. I think this is a keep. The question is, do we stumble on our land draws and need to get Environmental Sciences, or are we able to get Pest Summonings? Alright, if we don't draw land, we still go for the Hunt for Specimens. If we get the land, we go for Innkeeper. Alright, is a Bard class deck. I actually like Bard class decks, they're pretty fun. Alright, we drew the land, so we're going for Innkeeper. Now granted, the opponent's doing a strictly red-green Bard class deck from how it looked. Otherwise, they're being too greedy going for these snow lands. Here. Alright, opponent's got all the ramp. We're going to see something big come down from them next turn. Alright, so we go for the Blood Researcher. Start getting it to grow. Next turn, we're going to take a... This turn, we're going to take a bit of damage from how it looks. We just have to hope they don't have the partners in hand. What is the opponent's play, though? Alright, opponent's going to create another treasure. They effectively have enough... Okay, so they're just going to straight level up Bard class. It's an interesting call. Alright, they go for an Outland Liberator. So I honestly run that in the side deck also for my Bard class. But I'm not sure if they needed to play that right now or not. Let's see. Go for Blood Researcher. We'll hunt for some specimens. And we go for some pest summonings. We're going to pass it back, hold up the blocks, because they have a lot of explosive things they possibly can do. And if we attack in, they could just double block and it would be bad. See, this is the whole reason why you play Bard class. Halana and Alina, the partners, really accelerate this deck and make it very dangerous. Unfortunately, the opponent did get a Burning Hands off the top of their deck, so that's going to kill one of our Blood Researchers. I don't think we can come back from this one. I'm surprised they're actually running the Instrument of the Bards. It's a kind of a slow card, so at the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a Harmony counter on the Instrument. Search your library for a creature card with mana value equal to the number of Harmony counters on Instrument of Bards, reveal it, put it in your hand. If that card is legendary, create a treasure token, then shuffle. One main issue with the Instrument of the Bards is, simply put, it requires you to put a counter on it on the upkeep regardless of whether you want it to or not. So it's always awkward to use. We'll bring this out on black. We're going to hunt for specimens, and we're going to grab our Necrotic Fumes. And we are going to get rid of the partners. The partners cannot exist. Unfortunately, they're going to get the day-night cycle flip, but we're going to have to just deal with that. Hopefully holding Blood Researcher keeps them from attacking with Trap Breaker. Alright, the loss of that does hurt us a lot, because now we no longer have the enter battlefield triggers to gain life. Alright, opponent's going to activate Bugbear, which means they're not going to be able to actually activate Tovolar. I think the opponent may have made a mistake with that. We'll definitely block Tovolar in our blocks here. Now, if the opponent didn't activate Den of the Bugbear, and just held it for mana, it would have made a lot stronger attack for them. Because it could have given any of their werewolves or wolves trample. Alright, so doing this for 3 is a great play for us. Because we'll get to kill 4 of their aggressive creatures here. We'll gain the life. We don't get a gain the life. Opponent is very smart. Knows what's up with that. I wanted to attack in that turn, but without the extra triggers for the Blood Researcher, I think it's going to be better for us to hold back for blocks. Alright, another Liberator for our opponent. We blocked Den of the Bugbear here instead of trading against Pack Leader. Because we need to stop them from being able to just get these free value triggers. Unfortunately, this Instrument of the Bard is ticking closer to our doom. Let's see. Hunt for specimens. Get ourselves Mascot Exhibition. And pass the turn. I'm not playing the Pest Summonings because this allows us to use the Researcher to block here and Deadly Dispute the token to get the life gain trigger so that way we're an 8/8 creature. So Instrument of the Bards can get them any 2-cost card. There's a couple 2-cost legendaries that they could get that would be strong for them. They go with Magda. I honestly thought they would have grabbed Tardnar in this case. But opponent's got a lot more wolf, werewolf wolves built into their deck than the average Bard class deck. So I think we actually can capitalize on that for a more defensive ability. Let's see, what else is going to happen? Oh, this actually requires you to remove the counters? Search your library for a creature card with mana value equal to the number of harmony counters on. Reveal it and put your hand. Oh no, it's also amazing. How did I thought this required? Maybe I misread this card before. Search your library for a creature card with mana value equal to the number of the harmony count. Oh, they played a new Bard instrument. That's what happened. That's what I was freaking out about. Alright, opponent's going to only attack in with the 7/6. They don't realize that we have a trick ready for them, because otherwise they would not have attacked with that, because they were too afraid to attack in with their frenzied trapper or trap breaker. Okay, we'll actually sacrifice the treasure token here to get a little more card draw. Another Meat Hook Massacre. Unfortunately, they do still have the treasure token, so they'll be able to stop the life gain from happening, from blowing up their board. Let's see, if we do this again for 3, I think it's going to be important to do that, but we could just Mascot Exhibition and get a nice wide board against them. We also could play Sorin. I think it's probably best for us to blow up the board again. Let's see, we get to keep 1 mana. We're going to hunt for specimens. Create an emergency blocker in case our opponent does manage to chain into some dangerous stuff. Yeah, we know the opponent's going to blow up our Massacre. I'm still surprised they replaced the Instrument of the Bards with a fresh one, considering most of their cards, they hadn't even gotten to the mana cost that they want to, search out for. I think we'll grab the Containment Breach to get rid of the Bard spell. So we can use Containment Breach, get rid of that. Pest Summonings get more blockers. Yep, you get another 1/1 creature, or 1-cost creature, which would be only Jasper Sentinel that, or these wolves. Let's get rid of this right now. Bring out another Researcher. Get to attack in. The opponent can't block it because of the Menace, so we have that going for us. And opponent scoops it up. We managed to fight through that. We were in quite the disadvantageous position for a while, but we pulled through. Unfortunately, we can't keep this one. Just a 1-lander, not worth trying to risk it. If we had a second land, I would risk it, just because Hunt for Specimens does allow us to tutor out lands. This one we'll keep. We'll send one of the Priests to the bottom. Alright, we do hit a land, which is great. But we'll still go for the Pest Summonings. And I'm sorry. I meant Hunt for Specimens. The question is, do we go for the Pest Summonings against white-black? I think Sciences probably might be the better option. Just to make sure we can keep hitting lands. It's also a guaranteed life gain trigger, so next turn allows us to go for Blood Researcher here. Let's attack first before we play anything. Alright, nothing from our opponent. Alright, get the Blood Researcher on board. With Environmental Sciences, we'll get a life gain trigger for the Researcher, get a land, I'll probably hold up Deadly Dispute, because I imagine our opponent's going to start going for some kind of removal by that point. Okay, Massacre's not bad, but we do need to get ourselves a second green source, so we may be able to use Lisette. We attack in for the 3, thanks to Menace, get through without being able to be blocked. And we pass it back to the opponent. As I expect, the opponent's eyeing our Researcher, probably going to throw a removal spell now. Alright, they have Henrika. So, they move to combat. What option do you choose? Alright, they're going to choose the drawing function first. A lot of people like to use that, just because you don't really get a whole lot of value trying to transform it immediately. But sometimes you're forced to. We're going for the Deadly Dispute to get the draw. Thanks to the opponent not transforming, though, we have a strong Meat Hook Massacre play here. We sweep both the opponent's creatures. We get some life gain triggers and a nice attack. Opponent's more than likely going to fire a removal spell if they had any, but they don't. They just scoop it up. So yeah, there we go. Researcher, Meat Hook Massacre. Very, very strong play. Let's see. Against the opponent, we don't know a whole lot about what they're doing so far. Based on the cards we saw, we know that they have Trespasser and Henrika. They could just be playing just good white-black cards. I don't know what they're doing entirely. I think we'll just leave it as is and just play it back. One problem about the deck is a lot of the cards feed off each other, that even if we try to side deck, it's, alright, what card do we really trim anyways? Let's see. Off the opener, I think this one's a keep. The reason why I say we keep it is because Valentine does serve as a decent early option. If the opponent does have sacrificing mechanics, they're probably running Shambling Ghast, and it would help shut it off. Let's attack in, see what the opponent does. Alright, they seem to just take the damage. We'll hunt for some specimens then. Let's see, from these specimens, we will grab... Ooh, this is tough. I kind of want to grab the Necrotic Fumes in case they bring out another Domnathi against us. But going for Environmental Sciences does mean Meat Hook Massacre can be a clear up against it anyways. I think I'm just going to grab some Pest Summoning since we have the Deadly Dispute anyway, so we can just try to draw into more threats. The only problem with grabbing Pest Summoning is our opponent's probably running Meat Hook Massacre themselves. Oh, okay, so it's this style of deck probably. Alright. What I mean by that is we're probably going to see a lot of the token generation type cards. And we'll see the Obliterate spell that's white-black, sacrifice any non-land permanent. And you get to exile a non-land permanent. It has flashback. We'll probably see a lot of Planeswalkers from our opponent. I go for the Scavenger play just because it's the more aggressive card option from our hand. Oh, misclicked there. Alright, so we'll bring out our Henrika. I'm still going to go for the same kind of play our opponent did last time, doing the lose life, draw card. We do get blown out if they have Meat Hook Massacre, kind of like how we did. But I think was just our better play option. Do you have the Meat Hook Massacre, or are you going to play a different board weight? Alright, opponent plays nothing, just pass his turn. This means we can transform. We can actually attack and use the pump ability on Henrika, which doesn't sound bad. We could go for Blood Researcher, get 2 different life gain triggers. I'd make it a 4/4. I'm expecting our opponent to have a board wipe, though, so I'm not going to want to dedicate more to this board. So we're just going to transform. Getting a little bit of lag. Alright, there we go. So we attack in. Opponent has a chance to respond here. Alright, they go for the Vanishing Verse. We'll first go for the pump. This way, Nighthawk Scavenger hits for a little bit more. And we'll Deadly Dispute. That way we still have it in our graveyard, although we don't really have any recursion options. But we at least get the draw value. Thanks to the card, putting a card in the graveyard, Scavenger also hits for an extra 1. Let's see. I think next turn, unfortunately it's going to be a turn late. I was thinking we can Meat Hook Massacre away all the tokens. But sadly, this is going to transform and turn them all into 3/3s. So let's see, we can play this. Alright, so we're going to play Lisette. What Lisette's going to do is it's going to enter battlefield trigger with the Prosperous Innkeeper. Make it so that way we can put a +1/+1 counter on all of our creatures. Unfortunately, opponent Vanishing Verses it before we can do that. Opponent's being so rude with those Vanishing Verses. Alright. We will just take it. It hurts. No denying that. Alright, let's see. With Henrika, we still have a lot of mana left open. Let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go Blood Researcher first. Alright, thanks to Researcher, we have a card that can't get hit by the Vanishing Verse here. With Henrika, we're just going to instantly transform it, because we want the 3/4 Death Touch lifelink body for defending with. We'll attack with the Nighthawk Scavenger. We're going to hold Valentine back as a defender, just in case our opponent tries to attack in with everything once more. Thanks to Blood Researcher, opponent, so rude. Alright. So, oh, okay, yes, thank you, opponent. We're good with this now. We are perfectly fine with this. Alright, we will block and block. Opponent is going to get a bit punished here. We're going to do this before combat, just that way we can get the Henrika's ability over attacking in for the 2 more. So, Meat Hook Massacre. All those death triggers actually trigger for us first, and then the opponent's... actually, I was going to say, then we get all the life gain triggers, because the opponent's leave battlefield triggers actually have to happen ahead of it because of priority of turn. We'll choose the draw card function, play the land, but we're going to pass the turn. We're not going to dedicate more to this board in case our opponent has a sweeper. Opponent scoops it up. So there we go. We have the Light Researcher actually showing it is a very powerful card. And if your opponent uses Brutal Catharsis to exile it with a whole bunch of tokens on board, or just creatures, Meathook Massacre will not only let you get your Researcher back, but get an explosive amount of counters on it.
Thank you for watching the video. Please leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe for more content. If you'd like to join me while I stream, you can find me on Twitch, the link below. I hope to see you again in the next video and have a nice one.